What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube. Appreciate everybody that subscribed. If you haven't, make sure you go hit that subscribe button because we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. Today I want to talk about why I shoot Sony mirrorless, the reason why I use the Sony cameras, the reason why I love them. So first and foremost, right now I'm filming on the Sony A9 and I have the Sony A7R III in my hand. Those are the only two Sony cameras. My daughter just woke up. I'll be right back. Here you go, pretty girl. There you go, pretty girl. Sorry, baby girl taking a nap. Had to go check on her. So the reason why I love the Sony cameras is really because of, one, the size. The size of the Sony cameras is something that really, for me, I travel a lot. I'm in Atlanta, Phoenix, New York, more than I'm in Denver sometimes. And that's just not an exaggeration. That's where a lot of the WNBA teams play that I cover. A lot of the NFL teams, a lot of NFL camps. A lot of things in my realm is always in Phoenix, Atlanta, and in New York. So when I'm shooting those different things with the A9, I have no doubt in my mind that I'm gonna get the shot, like ever. Also, I'm not getting paid by Sony, so. And reason number two that I love shooting Sony is because of the autofocus. The autofocus, I think, is phenomenal, especially on the A9. I've taken pictures during an NFL game for client work with the A7R III, the A9, the A7 III, the A6300, and all the cameras perform well. The A9 doesn't miss at all, but every single one of those cameras I named off, I've personally used at an NFL game or a WNBA game. If you've never used an A9 and you do sports or action or fast moving weddings, you should just try an A9. I mean, it is crazy. But for the autofocus, I'm gonna show you guys. So in this sequence right here, the Denver Broncos are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers went for a fake field goal. I was actually in the back of the opposite end zone with the Sony A9 and the Sony 400-2.8, which it definitely wasn't mine. One of the Sony reps let me use it. Like I said, I am not sponsored by Sony. I actually still don't know how I got my hands on it, and I only had it for that game. But we'll talk more about that later. I was in the end zone with the Sony A9, the Sony 400-2.8 G Master, and I captured the entire fake field goal from the opposite end zone 100 yards away. I think out of maybe the 70, 80 pictures I took, 2 were out of focus, and that was my fault because of where I was aiming the camera. The autofocus is something that is out of this world, and I don't think I'd ever leave the A9, especially since I do a lot of sports, a lot of weddings, a lot of fast-moving things. Reason number 3 for me is because I can shoot silent. So there was recently a project that I got to work with Lockheed Martin. If you guys know what Lockheed Martin is, if you know, you know. But I got to work with Lockheed Martin, and I couldn't have the sound of my shutter. The client wanted behind the scenes pictures of the shoot that we were doing at Lockheed Martin. They had me be the photographer because I like shooting behind the scenes. So my resume is pretty much built on a lot of behind the scenes work with different clients. So Lockheed Martin and the company that hired me was awesome enough to let me come in and shoot. So I could not have my shutter on. So when I was shooting silent, no one knew I was taking pictures. I mean, the videographers knew I had Sony camera. So they were like, "Were you shooting silent the whole time?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So being able to shoot completely silent in environments where you need to be shooting silent, it's unreal. So a wedding ceremony, when I was shooting for Lockheed Martin, if you do wildlife, I mean, there's so many times where you might not want to hear that shutter, and you can't because the client says that you need to shoot silent. Or if you're shooting wildlife and you don't want to scare the animal that you're shooting, or if you're shooting a wedding and you just want to go completely quiet and be unnoticeable as possible, you can do that if you have the Sony cameras. So reason number 4 for me is the battery life. My first Sony camera was, what was it? The A6300. Battery life was terrible, but I made it work and I was really happy with it. I think I had, we got to ask Gabe, 12 batteries. I think I had 12 batteries for my Sony 6300. The battery life on these new batteries and these new Sony cameras, this battery, I can shoot an entire shoot with 3 of these batteries, especially if I'm being conservative in the way I'm using the camera, if I'm turning it on and off. And last but not least, reason number 5, the reason that I love the Sony cameras, the reason that I fell in love with Sony cameras is the video quality coming out of these little cameras. I do a lot of video, hence the name. Lamar Griffin Films is the name of my company. I just love the fact that the 4K video I'm getting out of this small camera, for me and what I do, NFL, NBA, WNBA, weddings, real estate, this is what works for me and Gabe, my business partner. We do a lot of videography, we do a lot of photography, and being able to switch back and forth and knowing that the video coming out of our, pretty much our photo camera, because you could call, I mean, you can call this whatever you want. It's a hybrid, but you can call it what you want. It takes pictures. Knowing that the video that's coming out of this camera and out of the A9, that our clients are going to be happy with it, that's all that really matters to me. Before I let you guys go, one big thing I want to tell anybody doing anything in video or photography, shooting with Sony, Canon, doesn't matter what you shoot with, try to make your client happy. I know this is my second YouTube video, but making your client happy is more important than making other photographers and videographers happy, if that makes sense. When I first started, I was always trying to compete with other people's work that I saw that was so good, and they were so good because they had been doing it so much longer than me. Maybe they had been going to school, or maybe they were just better. But me trying to compete with them always made me feel like I was coming up short. But when I was giving the work to my clients, they were absolutely happy with it. I was getting paid. My clients were happy with the work that I was making, but I wasn't happy because I was looking at other people's work and thinking mine wasn't good enough. So definitely hold yourself to high standards, but I really want you guys to know, like, make work that your clients love and that you love, and hopefully other people like it as well. But at the end of the day, it's about you and your client if you're doing this for paid work. If you're just doing it for fun and you're just doing it because you love it, that's awesome too, because then you really don't have anyone to judge you but yourself. Now, I'm not saying go out there and make crappy work and that I don't like when people tell me my work is good, but at the end of the day, if you're doing, if this is what you do for work, for a living, as your profession, which is what it is for me and Gabe, then make sure your client is happy and everything else will take care of itself. I'm Lamar Griffin. Thanks for watching this video. My top 5 reasons I shoot Sony. Let me know in the comments if you guys shoot Sony. Let me know what you're shooting. Let me know if you guys have any questions on the A9, the A7R III. Like I said, I'm not going to try to act like I know everything about the cameras, but I know them pretty well. Thanks for watching. I'm not sponsored by Sony. So make sure you guys stay tuned this week. This whole month of June and July, I'm focusing on how I use my Sony cameras for sports video and sports photography. So the whole month of June and July, I'm gonna be bringing you guys sports video and sports photography and why I love using these Sony cameras. Whatever advice I can give you guys to help further your career, I want to try to do that, because when I first started, I was on YouTube watching videos, and a lot of those peoples and a lot of those videos helped me because I'm self-taught. So I want to try to give back that same knowledge and also make it look cool and also still do my jobs. Peace.